Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. It is Tuesday, May 5th. Coronavirus has sped up time.
It really has.
I went into my office and on the wall it said March 14th. And I was gosh. Wow. It's been quite a while. We're already in the summer. Because it's May, ready? There are only 4 months left until the NFL season begins, unless COVID-19 interferes.
Hopefully not.
So 4 months. 4 months.
That's crazy.
Case scenario. It's crazy. My name is Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon with me as always.
What's up?
We got a lot to get to with this episode. I know Rick probably read over the news segment and went, why?
You never even sent me the show notes.
I just did. But we're going to go over the news. We're going to do our very first mock draft of 2020. I was going to say 2019 because that's how long it's been. I did some practice mocking the other day, as I said in the previous episode, and it is an interesting world.
Oh, go ahead.
No, what were you going to say?
I was going to say I did the same thing, and it was like I was very surprised.
Yeah, the ADP is a little bit weird.
It's a little weird, yeah.
So that'll probably update as time goes along, but we're going to give you a look at least at minimum, maybe the first 6 to 8 rounds, and we might be able to complete the whole thing. We'll see what happens. But before we jump into the news, check out our website at thefantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter at the FFChamps, on Instagram at thefantasychampions. You can follow us on Twitter on our handles, wherever they are on the screen, if you're watching on YouTube, that is. Follow us at Facebook at facebook.com/thefantasychampions. Subscribe wherever you listen and leave a review and share this podcast with your friends. Let's move into the news. So the Texans and Deshaun Watson, they're negotiating a long-term deal, which is what we would expect, right?
Yeah, unless you want to be traded, which is not true.
To New England.
Yeah, well...
T. Higgins is reportedly being considered to open the year in the starting lineup for Cincinnati.
Interesting.
So it would probably be A.J. Green and T. Higgins, which is, rather interesting.
So John Ross is just...
Yeah. They declined, by the way, I didn't put it in the notes, but since you bring it up, they declined John Ross' 5th-year option. So it leads me to believe that they're not really invested in John Ross, but he's extremely fast, so...
Very good when he's actually healthy.
Yeah, which is never. Raheem Mostert and Tevin Coleman are reportedly likely to share the load on base downs. They did this last year, and then Mostert won the job.
Yep.
So we're going to do it again. Yep. I really like Raheem Mostert. I don't know where he's going. We'll find out probably later in the show. But I think if he's later, like 12th, 13th, 14th round, which I doubt, I think he's a great stash for your bench.
He might be.
Because Coleman never stays healthy.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is with ex-Falcon running backs and never staying healthy. Miles Sanders is entrenched as the Eagles' #1 running back headed into the summer. The Athletics' Zach Berman reports. So saddle up your Miles Sanders shares. Saddle him up.
Yeah.
Every time I hear a report on Miles Sanders, I start getting sweatier. Bucks.
I know everything you hear is all good.
I know, as of right now, until they ruin my hopes and dreams and not start him. O.J. Howard, the Buccaneers gave him a 5th-year option. They picked it up, so he will be with the Bucks. Rather interesting.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I think they know Gronk is. I thought they didn't like O.J. Howard, so I don't really get it. But
I think they like O.J. Howard with Tom Brady. Because Tom Brady loves tight ends.
But here's the thing is that O.J. Howard, maybe he's like the Aaron Hernandez on the other side. I hate to reference a murderer, but
No, I know
just
what you mean,
offensively, you know what I mean? So I think for them, that's probably what they're going to utilize him for. But if they're hoping that Gronk grooms OJ Howard, like it just doesn't make sense to me to hold on to him at this point.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll see how it plays out because I think that that could be in their mind if Gronk trying to fix some mechanical things that OJ Howard does or give him advice or something.
According to the Los Angeles Times, Josh Reynolds, I should say, is on track to join Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp as the full-time starter.
So what happened to the wide receiver that the Rams took in the third round?
You know what's funny? 2 weeks after the NFL draft, while I'm sitting here looking at all these dynasty fantasy football accounts on my Twitter, 2 weeks after, people are already being like, this guy's like the fourth wide receiver on the team. Rookie wide receivers are scarcely used so often, unless they're the one or two guy.
It depends on the team, but most teams that is going to be the case unless they have a desperate need at wide receiver.
This was the expectation before the draft that the Rams would use Josh Reynolds as the third wide receiver, similar to Brandon Cooks in that kind of role. So I don't know what the Rams' plans are with the rookie wide receiver they took, but as of right now, if Josh Reynolds is the third guy, every year there's a third string wide receiver that ascends into that starting role. So I don't know if that's Josh Reynolds, but in an offense that utilizes three wide receivers actually pretty efficiently, Reynolds could be a sneaky little sleeper this year. Speaking on a Thursday radio interview, Pete Carroll hinted at Rashad Penny beginning the regular season on the PUP list, which is not completely surprising. They're also saying that Chris Carson is expected to be good to go for week 1.
I would hope so.
They are currently in conversations with Mr. Marshawn Lynch for this season. So the expectation would be, I know, Pete Carroll loves his running backs, I guess.
It's been one more year for Marshawn Lynch for the last 3 years.
I know. But so they bring in Marshawn probably to fill the Penny role for 6 weeks if they put him on the PUP. And then as soon as Penny comes back. Why don't they just use
the running back that they drafted for the first few weeks of the season?
Because they love running backs?
I guess so. They need 3 on their roster at all times.
I'm kind of concerned. People are going to draft Chris Carson.
Yeah. I mean, he wouldn't be bad for first few weeks, but there's other guys that I think will be better at where he's going.
So this was funny. I read this and I was like, I don't believe this for a freaking second. But the GM of the Chiefs came out and said Damian Williams is going to remain the starter and that their first round running back that they drafted, in the first round that Patrick Mahomes wants, that, Andy Reid really likes, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and they're going to compete for playing time. And I'm like, oh, please.
Dude.
Oh, please. Why didn't you go sit in your upper office, Brett Veach, and play with yourself while Andy Reid runs the football team and Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets the starting job?
I was going to say, why in the world, as a general manager, would you take a running back in the first round at that case?
And then
you're just
not play him.
Yeah. I don't get it.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it for a second. Especially if your star quarterback is this is the guy I want.
Right.
And then,
exactly.
And then you say, oh, we're going to start Damian Williams. I honestly am continuing, if this happens, it'll be crazy, but I continually believe that Damian Williams is probably going to be on the bubble. There's no reason to keep him around at this point. Corey Davis, his fifth-year option has been declined by the Titans, so the shackles have been freed from Corey Davis after this season. He will be a free agent. We'll see. I
hope he just goes to a team with a good quarterback. Or
he'll go.
Quarterback.
Rick. He's going to go to the Bears.
Oh, don't say that to me. Don't say that to me.
This was probably the most. There's a lot of fifth-year options that are going to be picked up and declined, and we're mentioning a few on this show. But this was a rather interesting decline. The Jaguars declined Leonard Fournette's fifth-year option. So a lot of people thought that pointed to their fourth-round pick, Raquel Armstead. I think I talked about last year on our draft show. Coming into that role, but they're also, I think they signed Chris Thompson. So and that may be to a 1-year deal. I don't know what their plan is at running back, but they know the trend of not paying for running backs. So
Yeah, I also they've been trying to trade Leonard Fournette the last 2 months.
Yeah.
So,
but for me, declining this player's contract for a 5th year doesn't make any sense. Just because he's not going to be taking a lot of money away from the team on a rookie deal, so you might as well just keep him around for one more year.
He actually is taking a decent amount of money because he was the 4th overall pick.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But it's still not as much as he probably would make on the open market. But yeah, no, I thought they would accept the 5th year option and then try to trade him because now he's going to be a free agent and you're just going to let him walk at the end of the year and just play out the year. I don't know what their plan is.
No idea. Ed Bouchette from The Athletic, he said it's not likely that the Steelers re-sign Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't know if this has any implications on Juju's impact, any impact on his playing time this year. I still believe he's a top 10 wide receiver with Big Ben at quarterback, but I don't know if this is just them being hey, you got to prove it.
Right. I mean, maybe that's it.
They paid wide receivers before, and it didn't really pan out for them, I guess. But they also expect the Steelers to. The same guy also expects the Steelers to cut back on James Conner's carries in 2020, probably to prevent injury. So that is very concerning for James Conner. Don't know where he's going right now. If it's a 5th or 6th round pick, I'm okay. But
yeah, I don't think it's first 2 rounds.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
And then NFL Network is reporting that the Bears declined Mitch Trubisky's 5th year option.
That's the biggest non-shocker of all of the options.
Yeah, so true. I think they want him to turn it on a little bit. Trubisky can't do that. It would be so stupid. He walks as a free agent at the end of the season and the Patriots sign him. I would be, no, I don't want that.
That feels like a very Patriots move.
Yeah. But anyway, it's not a shocker. I don't know what the Bears' plans are at quarterback, but Trubisky is the most inconsistent man on the face of the earth. I feel like the Bears always have inconsistent quarterbacks.
Usually do, yeah.
The Cowboys signed Andy Dalton after he was released last week. Patriots quarterback Jarrett Stidham survives another day.
It looks like he's going to be the starter for the Pats.
So that is the fantasy news related to this. Yeah, or Brian Hoyer. But
there's actually been legitimate talks that Hoyer is going to start at least week 1.
Gross.
And then Stidham's going to have to earn it in practice. So
we'll see. Frank Reich envisions a 2nd rounder, Jonathan Taylor and Marlon Mack, serving as a 1-2 punch. What do you know? They're going to use Marlon Mack because he's under contract. I had no idea.
Well,
love myself some Jonathan Taylor. You know that. I know that. Everyone knows that. But
Marlon Mack for him fantasy.
Marlon Mack is still a freaking running back in the NFL. So he had 1,000 rushing yards last year as well. I think it was in 14 games. So they may not want to re-sign Marlon Mack next year, but they're probably going to be a cluster of a backfield this year.
Yep.
So any people,
Naeem Hines is still there as well.
The Redskins' Ron Rivera. This will get you a little bit sweaty. Said the new running back / wide receiver Antonio Gibson they got in the 4th round. He has skill sets like Christian McCaffrey. Ron Rivera said that, who happens to know Christian McCaffrey very closely from his time in Carolina.
I love that.
There's 17 running backs on the roster and a bunch of new wide receivers. So we'll see.
That's my problem is it's the Redskins and they have Darius Geis. They still have Adrian Peterson. Dwayne Haskins, I don't know if he can play at all. So there's a lot of things that have to go right.
And then final, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say someone to keep your eye on.
Yeah. The final piece of news, the Le'Veon Bell killer, or just a running back killer in general. Frank Gore signed a 1-year contract with the New York Jets.
Why doesn't he just retire?
So the Jets,
he's 600 years old.
I know. He's ruining people's lives. He's going to get the goal line work. That's the unfortunate part. Is anybody excited about Le'Veon Bell coming back and having a good year this year? There are reports now from Adam Gase, straight from the horse's mouth, that he wants to cut back a little bit on the workload for Le'Veon Bell because he thought it was too much last year.
I mean, that makes sense. He did get like 25 touches.
He got way less touches than he did in Pittsburgh.
I know,
though.
that's true.
So anyway, this is probably a play. But like, what is he doing? Like, well, honest to God, what is Adam Gase and the New York Jets doing? Signing and drafting running backs right now. That is the least of your concerns.
I know.
And you're out there like signing and trading for, and like, I just don't get it. I don't get the Jets at all. They're the stupidest organization in the NFL. They're becoming that.
I know. It's so.
You think the Texans blow, but the Texans still win games. Yeah, I know.
Sam Darnold and the defense.
I feel bad for Darnold, dude, or anybody that goes to the Jets. Jamal Adams and Sam Darnold need to get out of there fast.
Yeah, they do.
Anyway, that concludes the news segment. Let's move into our first mock draft of 2020.
Sure.
It's very early. First week of May. We got probably thousands of these things to do. I do, probably starting yesterday, I do a mock draft literally every single day. So
just for the fun.
Yeah, just for the fun of it. But it'll be interesting to see where guys go, what the ADP is on a lot of guys. Sure. This is very, like I said, 3 months from when you're actually going to start considering drafting your league.
Yeah, so it's going to change a lot.
A lot of things are going to change. But we'll get an early look to see what the temperature is on some of these guys, just going into, the summertime. So, let's get it started. We are using the Sleeper app, 12-team, half PPR, pick 4. Why don't we just get it popping?
All right, let's do it.
So, this is going to be Sleeper auto picked, most likely. So
Michael Thomas is going number 2. Huh?
What is his ADP? What the crap is Michael Thomas's ADP right now?
It's like it's 2 or 3. He went number 3 in my mock draft that I did. I'm
kind of feeling, not to like sit here and talk about Michael Thomas for 2 hours, but I kind of have this feeling about Michael Thomas because like who repeats as a running back 1, wide receiver 1, quarterback 1, tight end 1, like, obviously tight end 1, Travis Kelce is going to repeat, but like usually positions don't have the same guy year to year finishing as the 1. So why invest that much draft capital in a wide receiver that probably won't be the number 1 guy and perform the same way he did last year? Like there's almost automatic regression. He's still a top 5 receiver, but like, and I'm not saying he's going to like bust, but like, I'm not going to spend a second overall pick on Michael Thomas.
No, I'm not either. If you're picking in the top 4, top 5, I think you got to go running back there.
Yeah, definitely. So we have McCaffrey, Michael Thomas, Saquon Barkley, if you're listening on our podcast platforms.
And I can't see who's on the board, so you got to. All
right, I got you.
Let me know too.
I got you. So I think here our options are Alvin Kamara, DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams, Ezekiel Elliott. So wide receivers are going a little bit higher than normal, especially in half PPR. I think to me the only option here would really be Kamara.
Sure.
Because you can get the next pick, by the way. But so Kamara, I think he's 3rd on my rankings right now in the top 24 at least. Maybe 4th, but Zeke is falling way down draft boards. And
so
I don't know if I want, especially with Mike McCarthy in Dallas, I don't know if I want to take the risk on them utilizing Zeke and Pollard. I think Kamara had a difficult year last year, and he probably is slated for a bounce back.
I definitely agree with that part. I think Kamara is definitely slated for a bounce back. I think Kamara or Zeke would have been fine with that number 4th pick.
Yeah.
I've seen Zeke. He fell 8 here in the mock draft I did the other day. He fell to 10. So like I think that's being a little extreme on him. Like he's still Zeke.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm totally fine with the Kamara pick. So who's on the board right now for a second round?
Well, we got Lamar Jackson,
huh?
Travis Kelce, Melvin Gordon, Antonio Brown, Amari Cooper, Kenny Golladay, Cooper.
So why
Kupp,
is Antonio Brown?
Chris? I don't know. People are stupid. It looks like we'll probably get a run on wide receivers.
Sure.
I would think.
So Who can you do it one more time? List them all.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson, Travis Kelce, Melvin Gordon, Antonio Brown, Amari Cooper, Kenny Golladay, Cooper Kupp, Chris Carson, Keenan Allen, so on and so forth.
I do not like who's available right now at this spot in the second round. I'm not gonna lie. Who would you go here out of curiosity?
Antonio Brown, dude. Why is he even here? What? Go home, Antonio Brown. You're drunk. Dang, that's tough. At this point in a 12 team, you lost all your receivers. I'd probably either go with Kenny Golladay or Amari Cooper.
So what I would say, I don't really love. I think I had Cooper ahead of Golladay.
Mm-hmm.
The CeeDee Lamb thing though is interesting to me. I think that could take a few stuff away from Cooper, but I think I would still go Cooper here over Golladay if we're going wide receiver because of the fact that there's still a lot of weapons there in Detroit. I think TJ Hawkinson's going to take another step as well. Would
you be skeptical of taking a Melvin Gordon at 209?
I would consider it. I would not as of right now though, because I want to see how the situation in Denver kind of works itself out.
Philip Lindsay? Don't tell me you're worried about. Stop it.
Well, for taking him in the second round.
Yeah,
right. I'm not worried about Philip Lindsay in the long run. Yeah, but as of right now, we don't know what their plan is.
Yeah.
Right. So until we see that it's clear that Melvin Gordon is the number one running back in training camp and all the reports and stuff come out, I think I'm fine. Or I am concerned with Philip Lindsay's threatening the job for Melvin Gordon. So I would probably go Amari Cooper here.
Okay. The other thing is that on the flippity flip, when we get to 304, Miles Sanders is going to be on the board at 30. Hopefully, let's hold our breath, because if that's the case, we get two studs.
Right.
Let's take Cooper.
It's kind of the thought process here. We're looking at the board and we can see that hopefully Miles Sanders will be falling to us.
Mahomes goes before Jackson. That is relatively interesting. Devonta Freeman doesn't have a football team sleeper.
Is not signed. Yeah, see, this it's so early where it's stuff like that.
And Antonio Brown doesn't have a football team either. Man, if those wide receivers get if we get to August and wide receivers are falling off the board in the first round like that, we might have to consider taking wide receivers. That hurts my soul, dude.
I would just try to trade down with somebody. Yeah. Try to go down to 11 and get Dalvin Cook.
Yeah. So Miles Sanders is on the board. I don't think we have any other choice here. There is Cooper Kupp, Chris Carson, and Keenan Allen.
I'd go Sanders though.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to go Sanders.
He's everything we've heard is he's going to be the workhorse guy in Philadelphia, and he wasn't the workhorse last year, and he did pretty darn good. So
yeah,
and the few weeks where they did use him as a workhorse, he was scoring like 20 points a week. So I think Miles Sanders.
Yeah,
is the guy.
I think he has that. What did Dalvin Cook get drafted late second, early third last year? Mm-hmm. I think I'm not saying he is Dalvin Cook. But there is a real, I think, chance that Miles Sanders jumps into that top 5. And I think to get him in that third round, he could be one of those league-winning type players that changes your entire fortunes. So if you have an opportunity to get Miles Sanders on your team, you definitely do it. I'm always afraid to invest too much draft capital in certain players.
Yeah,
because
it's interesting that Le'Veon Bell fell to the 4th round.
Yeah. Well, his coach is.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good spot for him, but I'm surprised that he actually did fall.
Like guys like James Conner and Devin Singletary, even. My goodness, some of these guys are still 4th round picks. Yuck. But we have.
I would have loved to take Debo here, but he just went off the board.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So there are reports that Debo, or maybe it's not. It's Dante Pettis is on the bubble, so that makes Debo's role even bigger.
Debo is going to be the number 1 wide receiver for the 49ers.
So in order, after we took Miles Sanders, Tyler Lockett goes off the board, then Chris Carson, Keenan Allen, Cooper Kupp, Adam Thielen, James Conner, Austin Eckler, Calvin Ridley, Devin Singletary, Le'Veon Bell, T.Y. Hilton, Mark Ingram, Kerryon, DJ Chark, Deebo Samuel, and then Tyler Boyd. So now we're here at 409. We have Watson, Metcalf, Allen Robinson, Zach Ertz, David Montgomery, Marlon Mack, wide receiver Michael Gallup, and Russell Wilson.
I hate that. Yuck. That's disgusting.
I'm going to say maybe take a running back.
Okay. Who do you have in mind?
You know who I have in mind.
You don't want to take Montgomery here, do you?
I love Montgomery with all my soul.
In the 4th round?
Yeah, dude. I don't know. Maybe Metcalf. I hate the Seattle offense, though.
I don't want to take I would rather take Montgomery than Metcalf.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Metcalf's ADP right now is 44, so he's slipped to us a little bit.
I mean, maybe Metcalf might not be too bad.
Yeah.
I'm kind of scared of how many times the Seahawks actually throw the ball, and Tyler Lockett is still kind of like, it's debatable.
Like, how much opportunity does Metcalf get? Does he exceed that, as a wide receiver too?
Yeah.
On your football team.
Well, we don't. I mean, he might emerge as the wide receiver 1. I think he's close enough to. And he had a huge playoff run as well.
Right.
He was big for them in the playoffs. This one's hard for me.
It's either Metcalf or Montgomery, in my opinion. Because we can also take at 5-4. A.J. Brown will be on the board. I'm booking it.
All right, let's go Montgomery then. Let's go your guy.
Sounds Gucci. It's not bad in the 4th round for a 12 team.
Yeah.
We have Ertz, Allen Robinson, Michael Gallup, DK Metcalf, Deshaun Watson, and then Robert Woods. And right there is my guy, A.J. Brown. Should we just do it? Or do you want to consider Kenyan Drake?
Who else is on the board? Oh. See, if I would have gone Metcalf and then Drake, if I knew.
Yeah.
Drake would have been on the board. But we can go A.J. Brown. I think that's fine to fill out the roster.
Why is Montgomery going before Kenyan Drake? That's the real question.
I don't know.
Ask me.
I think you should take Drake actually and just take best player available, but it's your pick.
Yeah, I'm going to take Drake. Then we got Mac, A.J. Brown. My soul goes out to A.J. Brown. I love you. Russell Wilson, Phillip Lindsay, Jarvis Landry, Austin Hooper, Kyler Murray, Stephen Diggs, DJ Moore, David Johnson, Will Fuller the 5th, AJ Green, Christian Kirk, Mark Andrews, Darius Geis, and then Darren the Waller Walrus. So we have 6 tight ends off the board, 6 rounds into this thing.
Wow.
And we have 4 running backs and no wide receivers.
Yeah.
So your man that you have fallen in love with, because there are other guys that I would have liked. A.J. Brown and DJ Moore are probably. I don't actually mind Stephen Diggs either. In between, the Kenyan Drake pick and our pick. So we also have AJ Green. I don't know what is the expectation for AJ Green.
I don't want AJ Green on our team.
Yeah. So we have Cortland. I think we need to go wide receiver. That would be my.
Okay.
At this point, we have 1 wide receiver. So we have Cortland Sutton at 57, and then the ADP drops to 70 for Brandon Cooks, Marquise Brown. So all of these guys are kind of in the same conversation. Honestly, I would say just take Cortland Sutton. He was supposed to go pick 57.
Do you want Sutton on your team, though?
Well, we can draft Odell in the next round. Will that make you happy?
Yes, I'd rather do that.
Okay, I'll do Cortland. I mean, unless you want Brandon Cooks in Houston.
See, the problem is I was so high on Sutton, and they drafted 2 wide receivers in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
And to me, like, one of the big things, it's super scary. And one of them is Jerry Jeudy, who I think is going to get legitimate work. I don't know. I don't know if I go Sutton here. Especially if we can get Odell in the next round and fill that wide receiver 2 spot.
So
which I would rather do.
So who do you want to go here?
Who's the best player available?
Cortland Sutton.
After Sutton.
Rodgers,
who's the next two?
Lamar Miller, Evan Engram, Kareem Hunt. This is just according to ADP on Sleeper. Dak Prescott, Hunter Henry, and then Brandon Cooks. I would take the shot on Cortland Sutton and just hope that he's good. I mean, he's not going to start on. Well, he'll start on this team.
Sure, we'll take Cortland Sutton. I think we'll end up starting Odell though if we take Odell in the next round.
Then Cooks, Ingram, Rodgers, Kareem Hunt, Lamar Miller, and Terry McLaurin are coming off the board here. We're in the 7th round, 704. We have, oh my soul, Odell, who I fully believe in this year for some reason, and
I do too.
Juju Smith-Schuster.
I'm going Odell though. At that spot.
What, I hate to go on a run of wide receivers, but I hope Juju falls. If Juju falls.
Oh, me too. We already have.
If Juju falls, come on, Juju. Come on.
No.
He didn't fall. So we have Marquise Brown, Devontae Parker, Sony Michel, Juju Smith-Schuster, Dak Prescott, Tevin Coleman, Hunter Henry, Carson Wentz, James White, Makiel Hardman, Josh Allen, Julian Edelman, Ronald Jones, Todd Gurley, Matt Ryan, and then Rashad Penny.
I know he went off the board like right after our pick, but I'm actually kind of high. I'm starting to develop an opinion on Sony Michel. I'm higher on him than I have been in the last 2 years.
But why?
For this year, just because I think he got a ridiculous amount of work last year and he did not produce at all. But I think he's going to get a ridiculous amount of work again this year. I don't think that's going to change, especially with Stidham as the quarterback. They're going to want to run the football a ton. So I don't think he's going to be statistically as bad as he was last year, especially with David Andrews at center coming back. So I think he'll be, I'm not saying he's going to be great. I'm not saying take him the first 5 rounds or anything like that. But if he's available in the middle of the 7th round like that, I would definitely draft him.
So a couple of interesting things too to note, because those are some fair points on Sony Michel. I don't mind Sony. He's just not and will never be a pass catching running back. So he's always going to be, at best, I think he's a 10 to 12 if he has a really good fantasy season. So he's a good flex running back.
But with the amount of carries he gets, I think he could do that.
No, I agree. I think there's there's opportunity for him there to do that. But there's also the question of, do the Patriots utilize Damian Harris in the backfield as well, because you have James White. I think Burkhead's not on the team anymore. I don't know if he's still signed.
He is.
Okay. Okay.
He's going to forever be on the team.
So, and then the other part of it is how good is, Stidham / Hoyer / if Cam Newton signs, how good is that team and how often do they get in the red zone? Because I think for Sony Michel, it's going to be touchdowns.
Yeah, that's true.
So point. I think at best he's a very, very low end RB1 who can be your flex. But outside of that, I would think the expectation for me is for him to land probably between RB 23 and 24.
So who did we just draft?
Our draft board just automatically picked. I got to go back.
We take Damian Williams.
Yeah. So I was going to mention Todd Gurley at 809.
Yeah, I saw
Have
that
fun
too.
with that. So let's change. I would, you know who I want to pick here? I want to pick Clyde.
Yeah. Did you change it already? Did you go back?
I'm trying to. Hold on. I'm trying to fix it. Have your thoughts on Todd Gurley while I fix the draft
I think if Todd Gurley, I'm not even as high on him as you are.
Yeah.
But if he's available in the 8th round, I am all over that. I think he's definitely going to, if he gets used like he did with the Rams a few years ago in Atlanta, he's going to be insanely good. He might be he has the potential to be a top 10 running back, which you don't get very often in the 8th round.
Oh, I totally agree. I wholeheartedly agree. I think Todd Gurley, somebody tweeted it the other day. There are people out here drafting freaking Aaron Jones with what pick? Freaking, what was it in our draft?
Top of the 2nd round.
202. So he's the 14th pick in our draft. And Todd Gurley's going at 806. Right? So it's I would much rather have Gurley than Aaron Jones this year.
Really?
Yeah, I would. A.J. Dillon's coming in, and Aaron Jones is going to get freaking robbed of touchdowns for some reason. I just have that thought. Somebody tweeted that.
I think he'll still get used in the passing game, though, enough where he's decent. But, yeah, no, I do agree with you that Aaron Jones is not going to have as good of a year as people think he is. Yeah,
I agree. So we have an interesting situation here in the 8th round. Mm-hmm. Josh Jacobs was going in the 4th round last year, folks. This year you can nab a way better running back named Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the 8th round.
I don't know if he's way better than Josh Jacobs, but he's first running back off
way better situation. Way better situation.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm going to take Clyde here. I'll do it.
Pick.
And then we have N'Keal Harry, Damian Williams, John Brown, Mike Williams, Marvin Jones, and then Matt Breida. Marvin Jones, man, in the 9th round, that's actually a steal.
Yeah, that's good.
It's not a sexy pick. It's not like something you want to write home about, but
he produces.
Yeah, he produces, and he could give you some really good games. So we have Noah Fant, Sterling Shepard, QB, teamless, I should say, Cam Newton. And then you have Gronk also available.
That's so tempting to take Gronk.
We have Mostert, Freeman, Alexander Madison, and then Curtis Samuel. I don't know. This is your pick, so I'll let you do it. But
who else is on the board? Can you say it again?
We have Noah Fant, Sterling Shepard, Cam Newton, Gronk, Mostert, and then Royce Freeman, Alexander Madison, and the like.
So to me, it's probably either Mostert, Gronk, or Noah Fant. I actually was very high on Noah Fant. He had some great chemistry with Drew Locke.
Yeah.
Had some big games at the end of the season. Like he had a two touchdown game at the end of the season when Drew Locke came in.
Yeah.
He looked like a beast when he was out there. But again, Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler is kind of concerning to me in the first 2 rounds, and it might take away targets from him overall for this upcoming season. I don't know. I know you're high on Mozart.
What about Sterling Shepard?
So Shepard,
he's the wide receiver one in New York, right?
So the thing is, he kind of is, but he's got Evan Ingram, he's got Golden Tate, he's got Darius Slayton. Saquon Barkley's using the offense as well. I don't know if he's really the number 1 wide receiver there. I think that's debatable. And even if he is, it's not like he's the only guy in that offense. Like there's a lot of weapons. I probably wouldn't go Shepard here. I'd probably go either one of those 2 tight ends or Mozart. I think Mozart was probably the best pick because of his potential to be Mozart, whatever.
Mozart. I mean, we can call him that, Raheem Mozart.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think I'd see what I'd probably go tight end here, and I know you'd probably go Mr. Mozart.
Mr. Mozart.
But I don't know. What is your opinions on this?
To me, I like the prospects of taking a Dallas Goedert, Mike Gesicki, T.J. Hawkinson in rounds 12 and 13, as opposed to taking Noah Fant and Rob Gronkowski. You know my opinions on this high draft. It's not a high draft capital pick. It's not a bad area to draft a tight end. I would consider it, but is it good enough?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is it too early to be doing that?
Yeah. The only reason why Gronk is because it's Gronk, and it kind of I know he wasn't great receiving wise in his last year in New England.
Right.
But he still has that potential to get a lot of touchdowns. And I think he has the potential to be like a top 5, top 4 tight end.
Yeah. I think our late round picks are going to be interesting.
Yeah, we'll go Mozart then.
Okay. Let's go, Mozart. Welcome to the team. Kirk Cousins, Cam Newton, Noah Fant, Royce Freeman, Gronk, Madison, Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, Elshon Jeffrey, Curtis Samuel, O.J. Howard, Jamal Williams, Sammy Watkins, Jimmy G, Darrell Henderson, and Dallas Goedert.
Dang.
All come off the board. A lot of guys I wanted came off the board. Are you freaking kidding me? You know, I'm going to do it.
Who are you doing?
I got my mouse hovering over, and I shouldn't do it.
What name?
I did it.
Give me the name. Oh my goodness. All right. You know what?
I went Baker. I did it. I went Baker Mayfield.
I don't even hate it.
Okay. Why?
Because I
thought you would
Baker
hate
this
that.
year. No, I mean I don't.
It's not
I love it.
I always wanted to draft Baker, but I just didn't want to do it in the 4th round last year. You friggin' morons who drafted him in the 4th round.
Yeah.
No offense to anybody that I just offended.
I don't mind it. I drafted Baker Mayfield actually in my mock draft that I did the other day.
It's a little early.
He fell to me in the 11th round, I think.
Because our home league is a 10-team league that might be expanding to a 12 this year. But I'm used to mock drafting at 10, so this guy is Baker's usually in like the 12th round. But in a 12 team, it's a 10th round pick. So I'm all right with that. I think my thing on Baker, and I think we'll probably draft another quarterback. That would be my expectation. But I think my thing with Baker is that he was overvalued last year. I think this year, not a lot of people are looking at the Browns. They're like, oh, they suck, just like they always do. But they still have Jarvis Landry. They still have David Njoku. They just got Austin Hooper. They still have Odell Beckham Jr., by the way. I hate that we have 2 Browns, by the way.
I know. In our starting lineup, probably.
But Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, they still got a very good offense. They added some pieces to that offensive line, which is what Baker needed. That was the biggest concern for me going into the 2019 season with Baker Mayfield and the Browns was their offensive line blows, and it had huge ramifications. But I think Baker Mayfield is going to show up this year, play out of his mind, and we'll have a very good, happy conversation about Baker Mayfield as a QB1.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
So on the board next, we have tight end David Njoku, who I don't like at all.
I don't like it.
Emmanuel Sanders, Jonathan Taylor, Golden Tate, Drew Brees, Jared Cook, Jared Goff. We have Daniel Jones. Oh, dang, dude. Don't tell me Daniel Jones is that early.
I mean, 11th round is not.
I'm thinking we need some wide receivers.
Okay. Who are the wide receivers?
Emmanuel Sanders is wide receiver 2 in New Orleans.
Sure.
We have Golden Tate in New York, who was hurt most of last season, but had 104 targets.
He was good when he played.
Yeah, he was good when he played. So that might be
the number 1 receiver.
A sneaky pick in the 11th round. And then you still have Tyrell Williams, who you could make an argument that he was the wide receiver 1 in Oakland, but I don't really like that. Anyway.
Yeah, to me it's either Tate or Sanders here.
Which guy do you want?
You know what? I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go Tate. I'm gonna go Golden Tate.
All right, we take Tate.
The reason I take him over Sanders is just because I think Sanders is like the clear number 2, while Tate has a chance to be the number 1.
Yeah.
And I also think like Jared Cook, Michael Thomas, like Sanders is he's gonna be decent. I think Tate just has a higher ceiling, which at this point in the draft, I'm willing to take the chance on.
Fair enough. Now we're getting into the conversation. We do have Sammy Darnold on the board. Now, I was thinking about it the other day. Not that I'm going to draft Sam Darnold. I was thinking about it the other day, though, that it's an interesting situation. The last 2 years, and I didn't want to go back in time and do that much research because that would be far too much effort, but the last 2 years, we've had a second-year quarterback be the quarterback 1. Patrick Mahomes in 2018. Lamar Jackson in 2019. So that begs the question, does the trend continue? And do we get one of these second-year quarterbacks jumping into that conversation? Now, there's 5 second-year quarterbacks that have the opportunity to start this year, making the assumption on Jarrett Stidham that he will start week 1.
Right.
So we have Stidham. We have
Drew Locke.
Dwayne Haskins, who are the bottom of the barrel, I would expect.
Okay, yeah.
I forgot about Drew Locke.
Yep.
Drew Locke is in that conversation. You have Kyler Murray. You have Daniel Jones. And then you have one more guy who I really like, Gardner Minshew. So to me, out of that group, I think Drew Locke has opportunity to be good, but he does have a lot of really young receivers. So I'm not sure I'm excited about that. And then you have Gardner Minshew, who I'm probably the most excited about.
Problem with Minshew, though, they are just tanking around him. It seems like they are tanking.
Well, I mean, they still have Chark, and they drafted a wide receiver. Their offensive line's not bad. Leonard Fournette's still there, so it's like their team doesn't completely blow. Minshew threw 24 touchdowns, or 21 touchdowns and 6 interceptions last year.
Yeah, good numbers.
13 games started or something like that.
Good numbers.
And he ran for 300-plus rushing yards, so I like Minshew. But anyway, I wanted to mention that those were the guys. I forgot about Drew Locke, though. Didn't even put him in the conversation. Because there's also the situation where a guy like... You could also have Sam Darnold and Josh Allen be considered in the conversation. I don't know if Josh Allen already got drafted. I think he did.
He got drafted very early, actually.
So when you talk about like Sam Darnold possibly having that ascension, I've talked about guys like Sam Darnold kind of reminds me a little bit of Jimmy G in the aspect that he's not going to be this athletic rushing quarterback. He's going to be more of a pocket passer. He does do a little bit more than we anticipate. Like he had 110 rushing yards this year, but he only had 28 attempts.
Yeah.
So it's like you're not. That's not something that it's like right there. You have 2 touchdowns, 110 rushing yards. It's about 22 fantasy points added to his total on the year. So he would have finished with 208 just on passing. So he's good, but I don't think he can get into that top 5 conversation and be the kid.
He missed a lot of games last year too.
Yeah,
Sam Darnold.
Fair enough. He threw 22 touchdowns. How many games did he have? I wish it shows me.
12, I think.
Yeah.
I think he played 12.
So Darnold, I really like Sam Darnold, but I don't know that he can be a top 3 quarterback.
I think he's still a weapon away before too, if you want to even consider
have that conversation. But anyway, I wanted to bring up those running backs. We have on the board right now, Paris Campbell, Corey Davis, Cam Akers, Sam Darnold is on the board if you're so inclined. And then Mike Gesicki and Patriots D, dude. I don't know if you
Whoa.
take the leap.
No way.
This is actually what the interesting thing is. We drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but there wasn't any real rookie running backs that were getting drafted super early yet. So that's going to change. But I think you could get because Clyde Edwards-Helaire we know is probably going to be the guy. You could probably have the justifiable or you could have a justified conversation looking at guys like DeAndre Swift, Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, Cam Akers in these 11 to 15 rounds because no one really knows what the situation is going to be. Like, is Cam Akers going to start for the Rams? You know, is Jonathan Taylor going to get the majority of the workload in Indianapolis? Is DeAndre Swift going to get the majority of the work in Detroit? You know, you kind of pick your poison, but it's an interesting and intriguing place to look at these rookie running backs and hope maybe somebody takes off. But who do you think we should take here?
I would be very intrigued with taking one of the rookie running backs. I think Mike Gesicki, though, is actually another interesting pick.
Yeah, I was going to say Mike Gesicki.
I think that's the guy we got to go with.
All right, let's do it. Gesicki had a very good stretch at the end of the season. He's a tall, athletic, fast, big, whatever you want to say, good catch radius. He's a very good tight end. Ryan Fitzmagic, if he starts the entire season, loves his freaking tight ends. Loves them. So I think Gesicki is a solid option late. I think third year in the league, there's an opportunity for him to kind of break out and have that big season. But the question is, where does he fall? The thing I always ask with tight ends is, where does he fall in the target chart? You know, Austin Hooper is a guy that you should stay away from this year because he's like the 17th guy on the roster. Like, when Baker Mayfield drops back to do reads, which no one thinks he can do, he's going to look at Landry. He's going to look at Odell. He's going to look at Kareem Hunt. He's going to look at Nick Chubb. He's going to look at everyone else. And then he's finally going to look at Austin Hooper.
Right.
So Austin Hooper's probably like the 4th read down. But when I look at Miami, like, where's Gesicki on that read list? I think he's probably number 2.
He's number 2, yeah. I think he's number 2.
So you have I had that same conversation with Austin Hooper last year when he was with Atlanta and Mark Andrews. Both of them were like the 2nd or 3rd guy down the list, and we both thought they were going to have a good season. So I think Gesicki is a great pick here.
Yeah, I agree.
We have Paris Campbell, who is an Indianapolis wide receiver, in case you never heard of him. Wide receiver Corey Davis. Jordan Howard from Miami. I don't know what Jordan Howard's going to look like for Miami, but they've made some substantial improvements, and I'm interested.
Yeah.
But I'm not excited.
Yeah. I would probably agree with that. It's intriguing, definitely. So I don't know if it's...
Yeah, I think there's better options. Like, if Jordan Howard has a good year, I'd rather it be on somebody else's team, if we're being honest.
Well, so what I will say about Jordan Howard, though, is like...
Oh, by the way, the Patriots D got drafted in the 13th round, everyone. Wow. And we lost out on Swift and Cam Akers.
That stinks, because that's who I would have said we should go here with the next pick. But the thing about Jordan Howard that intrigues me is... Matt Breida obviously got traded there, but he gets injured a lot, and he's also more of a pass catching running back.
Yeah.
So when it comes to just straight running the football, who else is on the Dolphins?
Matt Breida.
Other than Matt Breida, because I think he's going to get injured, and he's more of a pass catching back.
Wow, you have some hope for Breida.
No, I mean I'm just saying.
Did he get drafted already? By the way, I have no idea.
I don't think so.
No, you're right. It's going to be Jordan Howard. The concern for me is that he blows. And you saw what Jordan Howard looked like on the Bears with Matt Nagy, who it was a terrible rushing attack.
Philly though last year, I mean he had some big weeks. I think he could do that again with the Dolphins.
Do I have to bring up Kenyan Drake, who was on the Dolphins last year and who people expect to maybe
this
ascend
Dolphins
into
team
that?
Is not the same Dolphins team as the beginning of last year though.
They were just really bad.
He
makes me nervous. I don't think Jordan Howard's a terrible pick. I think he's like a low end RB2. Which is, not a bad low-end RB2, high-end RB3. I just don't think that Miami situation is one that's going to be fruitful.
No, I mean, I agree with that, but I think he's gonna get a lot of carries.
Yeah.
I think he's going to get a lot of carries.
Right.
So I would consider drafting him here.
We'd also have Keyshawn Vaughn in Tampa and J.K. Dobbins and Baltimore. I'm going to say Dobbins.
I would say Dobbins for sure.
Yeah, I'll take J.K. Dobbins. Dobbins in Baltimore is, I think, probably going to be absurd.
And I don't wish injury upon anyone, but if Mark Ingram got injured and missed a few weeks,
yeah,
I think J.K. Dobbins could be like a top 10 running back easily.
Oh yeah,
weeks.
I don't even think
maybe even top 7.
I don't even think that J.K. Dobbins needs to be like the way that the Baltimore Ravens run their offense with, a consistent rushing attack. I don't think Dobbins needs to have a starting role. I think he's going to get 12 to 14 touches a game anyway with the 12 to 14 touches that Mark Ingram gets. And I think J.K. Dobbins can produce with that. So he's very similar. We talked about this before. Very similar to the Alvin Kamara situation, where Kamara went into New Orleans and Mark Ingram was the starting running back. They drafted him with the first 2-round pick or 3-round pick, and Kamara ended up taking over. It's just a question of whether or not we don't think Dobbins is going to take over the job from Mark Ingram, but I think there is a real possibility that both of these guys split and they work together, and Dobbins ends up being that kind of 1-2 down guy with Mark Ingram coming in 1-2 downs. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Per drive. They're going to get equal amount of touches, I think.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
We have. I'll do this. I'll do it. It hurts my soul a little bit because I don't like drafting rookie wide receivers. But CeeDee Lamb is on the board here, and he probably has the best chance to be a wide receiver 1.
Yep.
There's also Jamison Crowder, Kyle Rudolph, Henry Ruggs, Tyler Higbee. I don't know if you want to.
So I think Jamison Crowder would be an interesting pick here.
Yeah.
Because he was pretty solid when Sam Darnold.
They don't have Robbie Anderson anymore, do they?
And they don't have Robbie Anderson. I would go CeeDee Lamb here just for his upside.
Okay, going CeeDee Lamb. Gostkowski comes off the board. I haven't really listed anything. There's a bunch of kickers and defenses. I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something again. I guess I've been taking all the quarterbacks here, but I'm going to take Joe Burrow. Am I crazy for taking Burrow?
No, absolutely not. Take him.
I did. What are your thoughts on the Joe Burrow pick?
Sorry, my headset fell off, so that's why I was confused. But you took Joe Burrow, and I love it. Yeah. Absolutely love it.
15th round, man. I hope he doesn't get hyped into higher picks because I love that.
Someone's in our draft's going to take him in like the 13th round for sure.
Yeah, dude. It'll be me.
Just because he's got a ton of weapons. The offensive line is going to get a little better. It's not going to get insanely better, but the guy they drafted 10th overall last year,
right?
He didn't play a single game this past season because he got injured in the preseason. So they're going to have him. Obviously, they have a lot of weapons, and Joe Burrow actually uses his legs more than people think, so he could be a decent fantasy option.
They have far too many rookies on this team.
I know. Love it, though.
So our team ends up being quarterback Baker Mayfield, starting running backs Alvin Kamara, Miles Sanders.
I love that running back.
David Montgomery / Kenyan Drake. Our wide receivers are Amari Cooper, Cortland Sutton, and Odell Beckham Jr. We also got Mike Gesicki at tight end, and then Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Raheem Mostert, Golden Tate, J.K. Dobbins, CeeDee Lamb, and then Joe Burrow. To me, those 14th and 15th round selections are very much droppable for kicker and defense when the regular season does start. But to have those guys on your roster as trade capital before the season starts is a good option. But it's not a bad start. Very, very weird ADP. Yeah. I'll say that.
Very weird. Very Antonio strange. Brown's still on the board high. Devontae Freeman's on the board high.
Yeah.
Some guys that will not be there.
Yeah. So
in a month or two.
A lot of interesting picks. We'll have to see what happens. But that does it for our mock draft. First mock draft of 2020. There will be many, many more. I guess that does it for the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast.
I like the team.
I do too.
I think it could have been better, but definitely good.
Yeah.
Definitely very good.
We'll talk to you Thursday, Fantasy Champs.
Later.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.